And we're now on Daf Yud Beis Amid Beis. Partzufos normally, right? We had the case where the water is coming out of the mouth of a partzuf, right, which is some sort of a sculpture of the face of an idol. And why do I need to know that you're not allowed to drink directly from the mouth of this sculpture? Mishum de kaboy lemisne kayotzebo. Meaning, the Gemara concedes that this case is simple. I really didn't need it. It's only an introduction to the next case in the Brisa of Kayotzibo, a similar case where you can't drink the water, is lo yediach piv al pi salon, silon v'yishti. He can't put his mouth on the pipe to drink the water. Mipnei sakana. My sakana, what is the sakana? Aluka. Aluka means a leech. Right? If you drink and swallow a leech, that's not going to be good. It eats up your kishkis, your inside. So therefore, avoid any case of water where you're not absolutely certain that the water is drinkable. Now we go to a whole sugi about when you're allowed and when you're not allowed to drink water. You can't drink water from rivers or ponds. Why not? Because we're afraid of aluka. Aluka. Lo bipiv v'lo b'yoda achas. Now, if he's drinking from this pipe or from the rivers or the ponds directly with his mouth, then I understand very well that it might be too late. He's going to drink who knows what's inside the water. But what about lo biyodo achas? So it means the following, that if he puts out one hand to collect the water from the river or the pond, then he's sort of like making it almost impossible for himself to check out the water and see what's flying, what's swimming in the water. If, on the other hand, he puts his two hands into the pond or the river and brings up the water, he could look at the water before he drinks from the water. But if it's one yad or it's piv, then imshasa damarosha. If he dies, it's like a suicide case. He put himself deliberately into a danger. Now, Rabbosai, I did not get a chance to research this in the poskim, whether or not, halach l'maisa, this applies. So maybe if you have a chance, or if I have a chance, we'll do that later. And my sakana, what's the sakana in drinking from a pond or a river? Sakana saluka. He might swallow a leech. This brisa will support Reb Chanina. The Reb Chanina, habolea nemo shel mayim. If a person swallows a nemo shel mayim, nemo is a leech, but it's a water leech. We're allowed to violate the Shabbos. His life is in danger. We'll heat up the water, and the hot water, if he drinks it, will at least, give him a chance to perhaps survive. There was a story, an incident in which somebody swallowed a water leech on Shabbos, and the heater of Nechemia lahachim lochamin b'Shabbos, and Rabbi Nechemia was the posek who said we're allowed to turn on the fire, heat up the water on Shabbos because of sakana. Adahachi Amar Avhuna Bereid Rav Yeshua Ligma Chela. It's going to take a few minutes until the water boils up, and he could drink the boiling water. What's going to happen in the meantime? He could die by the time that they heat up the water. So Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua, gives us the antidote, the solution to this problem. He says, Ligma Chela, let him swallow vinegar. Vinegar, at least for a few minutes, will be a protection and stave off the death that's almost imminent, allowing him to drink the hot water and save his life. Omer of Idi bar Ovin, Haiman Debola Zibura. Whoa, he swallows a hornet. And the Gemara says he's not going to survive it. Now, once again, you got to Google this. I don't know if you can Google, someone or AI, someone swallowed a hornet, what's going to happen to him? But the Gemara at least assumes he's going to die. Michya lo chaya, he can't survive. Miu, but you know what? Let's give him a couple of more seconds to live before he drops dead. Lishke revi asa dechal shamgas. let's give him a revius of very strong vinegar, because maybe we'll delay his death by a few minutes, until he writes his last will and testament to give away his possessions to his children. A person should not drink water at night, meaning we're talking about water in a kli, and it's at night, and he can't see and check out the water to make sure there's nothing floating in the water. And therefore, now, if it's a river or a pond, then you might think that, let's say he uses a filter, and that will filter out the leeches, but in a case of a river or a pond at night, let's not rely on this sifting process. If he went ahead and he violated this Isur and he drank at night from a kli, if he dies because he swallowed a leech, it's a suicide case. My sakana, however, the Gemara says here, this is not a case of leeches. Apparently, since the water came from a larger source, like a river or pond, and then it was collected in a kli, the chances that there's a leech in the water, that small amount, the volume of water in the kli, is very low. But what are we afraid of? Where is the sakana? Shavriri. Good old Shavriri. So we're back to Maseches Shabbos. You may remember that when we did Daf Yomi and Maseches Shabbos for about 2 blot, I was going nuts. I was going absolutely out of my mind with all the different, the cantations and lichushim that you recite over a demon in order to get rid of the demons. I don't know too much about demons, but Shavriri are demons. And in Tzachi Mai Takante, what does a person do? He's thirsty at night. He's got a drink, and the only water that he has is in the kli, and he might be exposing himself to the danger of these demons. So the law is the following: the demons don't attack 2 people at once, and therefore, if there's anyone there within, a close radius, is liatre v'lemale tzachina l'mayim. He should wake him up if he's sleeping, and tell him I'm thirsty. Once he's awake, the demon will fly away because he can't attack 2 people at once. Be low, but if he's alone, there's no one else to wake up. Nikarkesh b'nichtama achatzba. Apparently, the demons are not so brilliant that it's easy to fake them out, to fool them. Therefore, take an empty pot and take a lid and start banging on the top of the pot, to make a sound as if there are so many people there. This is the story of the Davidka, the story of Tzfat, and so forth and so on, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Nema. Now, this incantation apparently says to himself, I guess he's saying it in a very low tone, and he speaks about himself in third person. Planya, so-and-so, and he says his first name, Bar Palnisa. Palnisa means his mother. So in this case of an incantation, to prevent himself from being attacked by the demons, he should mention his mother's name, like our Minigan and Chola. And now he continues, and he talks to himself, and he says to himself, Omroloch imach, your mother has told you that is dair mishavrire. You should be very careful of shavrire, of these demons that attack the water. Now take a look what happens. With each of the next words, we drop 1 letter. So shavrire, the first letter of which is a shin, we drop the shin and we're left with brire. Then we drop the bays of brire and we're left with rire. We drop the resh of rire and we're left with yire. We drop the yud of yire and we're left with re. And apparently, when the demons hears that his name, which is Shavrire, is now being reduced by 1 letter at a time, he feels, this demon, that there's a powerful attack against him, and he's losing this battle, one led by the time, and therefore he flees. And then bechasi chivare, in white cups. Okay, this has to do with the Gemara Psachim, that if a person is thirsty and he drinks in white cups, I guess the demons don't like white cups. Okay, now we're up to the Mishnah on the bottom of Daf Yud Beis. Okay, we're still doing, business, the Easter of business transactions right near the pagan holidays. In the city where they have a festival going on right now of idolatrous worship. So now there are shops, there are stores. Now, some of those stores were operated by the priests of the idolatry, and what they used to do is they would charge a little extra for whatever the commodities they were selling, a little above the market price, and that extra money went towards them or any other facet of the idol worship. Now, how do you know, if you're a Jew, whether or not this particular store is owned by the priests? And the Mishnah gives you the rule of thumb. There were two types of stores. And one store would be decorated. We'll see soon they decorated it, with either beautiful fruits or beautiful fragrant flowers, so that when you went in there, you smelled the beautiful fragrance of the flowers. And the other stores were not decorated. And Zaya Maisu Beit Shan, right up in the north is Beit Shan. And what did they paskin? They paskin the following: Hamutaros Asuros. Those are certainly owned by the priests. The priests are trying to attract people into their store so they can levy a tax and use that tax money for idolatry. You want to avoid that like the plague. But she'ena mutaros. If it's not mutar, it doesn't have these beautiful declarations, then you assume it's just, a rank and file citizen. There's no extra tax and no money is going towards the Avoda Zara. The only problem is that in the case of me'utaros, what exactly is the issue? Is the issue that the priests are going to charge you the extra money and the tax for the sake of Avoda Zara? Or is the issue that since it's mutaros, since it's decorated with beautiful perfumes, then you'll be benefiting from Avoda Zara by taking in the beautiful smell? If the store was decorated with beautiful roses or myrtles that have a wonderful fragrance, then guess what? You're not allowed to go into that shop. Because since they're decorated with roses or myrtles, these are part of that which is brought before the idol, and you're being nene by smelling this beautiful fragrance from Avoda Zara. And that violates the Isra no to call Mishani Mirecha. Avol mutars b'peiros. But if they decorate their stores with fruits that don't have a particularly strong fragrant odor, so you're not being nene from Avoda Zara, mutaros. But wait a second. What do you mean mutaros? You're going in there, you're going to buy a commodity, you're going to pay the priest's money, some of that money is going to go to Avoda Zara, you're benefiting the Avoda Zara. So although I agree with you, Reish Lakish, that as far as you're benefiting from the fragrant odors of these decorations, you have a justified distinction between fruits and roses, that I understand very well. But in any event, you're paying money for Avoda Zara. The Avoda Zara is gaining money. Says Reish Lakish, my time at the Yom Krov lo yidbak v'yolchem u'um min acherem. And what does that mean? No part of the banned property been here to him, meaning you cannot benefit. Nenehu diyosu. You're not allowed to benefit from idol worship. And turning here to Daf Yud Gimel, Aval Mahana Shari. But the fact that you provide money for Avodah Zarah and the idols gain from you, that's permissible. And Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. Afilu mutaros beperos, even if you neutralize the element of enjoying the fragrance, you have no benefit in hana from the idolatry. Namios, it's still awesome. Why? Because kal v'chomer nene osur mahana lo kolshke. If you're not allowed to benefit from Avodah Zarah, then how much more so you're not allowed to benefit Avodah Zarah? And by going in there and buying and giving extra money that they levy for the tax for Avodah Zarah, you're benefiting Avodah Zarah. So we have now a fundamental machlok stream, Rabbi Yochanan, which we Mitzvah Hashem will pick up tomorrow. And that is, how do you understand the Isur Hana from Avodah Zarah? Is it only because you benefit? That's Reish Lakish. Or all Hana, whether it's this direction or that direction, even if you're being Mahana Avodah Zarah, says Rabbi Yochanan, that too is prohibited by virtue of the Kal V'chol. Okay, then we'll stop here. Have a good day.